Clinton, thanks. Here we
Hi.
go.
Hi.
Holy crap, what a week.
Well, first things first, so we don't forget. Vindicate, thank you. You guys
Yes.
can see, got some new. Oh, I got to always remember which way to go. Thank you for our t-shirts.
Yeah,
They're
they're super cool.
amazing.
They're
Thank you so much
awesome.
for the gift. We love them. They're awesome. So wanted to shout you out first just to say thanks.
And then our kid lost another tooth, so he has
He did.
no front teeth whatsoever.
I had to pull it out at lunch today because I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, is that tooth about to fall out? And then he let me get it, and now he's got no upper front teeth and
And
cuter
all
than ever.
and also like legit as like he had his flag football on Friday and
Mhm.
he ran for a touchdown, like legitimately ran for a touchdown. It was so fire. I couldn't have been more. And kids at this age, like it's hysterical. So I enjoyed every second of.
It's funny to just watch them all either run after the one guy that has the ball, or they also work drills where the coach will call hike and then they all run, but then they all turn and they just throw their hands up and stand right in front. Our son does that all the time. He'll the coach will say hike, he'll take 3 steps, turn around and say and just put his hands up and stand right in front of him. And it's like go run, go down the field. Um, but love seeing him have so much fun and socializing and just running around. And he stays something that we were talking about last night or whatever is that this is one of the activities that he stays focused
Yeah.
and pays attention to. The it's an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, he's a kid like the rest of them. They're rolling over here and not listening, but he's engaged. He's staying on the field the whole time. It's an hour and at 15 minutes that these young kids are on this field, and it's been so good for him because he's stayed on the field every single time. We haven't had to worry about him coming off the field, getting sidetracked, wanting to do other things. He's on the field with the group the whole time. So, which we're
And
very,
is
very
it
proud of him for.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Hey, Jeffrey number one,
Hey.
Greg C, Miss Masters Athlete. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Um, yeah, no, it was super fun. And yeah, he's done so much in such a short period of time with all of his milestones are just so cool now.
Mhm.
Like he's coming into his own and it's very cool.
Well, I look at him and I'm like, wow, you're growing up so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you
And he's
hear.
big boy.
Yeah, he is. And I know we talk about that all the time, and I know parents feel that all the time. But when you look at your child, and obviously we see him every day. So I'm like I see him grow every day. I see him, thrive every day. But there are just some moments that I just look at him and I'm like,
Wow. Yeah.
damn, you're grown. Like I remember you being a baby. I remember having you. I remember your first walk. And I like all of those things. And some days I don't know if you feel this, but some days it feels like it was so long ago. And other days it feels like it was just yesterday. I think seeing him today and yesterday, whatever, for me, it feels like it was so long ago that he
Yeah.
was a baby.
Yeah. He's a big boy doing big boy things. I mean, I think and hey, Kenneth, love you, bro.
Mhm.
I feel like he stims a little bit more.
Yes, we've noticed that. Yep.
He's stimming with his fingers to like talk to you. So everything is like this
Yep.
when he's talking to you, but he's turned such a corner as far as, just being able to be around other kids, having fun, talking to coaches. He's such a ladies' man at this point.
Get your
It's
son.
so funny. I
Get your
know.
son.
He's a Glinton. I don't know
Get
what to tell
your
you.
son.
Glintons like women. What can I tell you? So but yeah, like his there's a new stim that we didn't, you know, like
He really wasn't doing it.
yeah,
He really wasn't
it's
doing it for
something
a
new.
while, but it's new and it's all the time now.
Something we've noticed. And yeah, when he's talking to you, he does have to do it in order to get his like the whole conversation out.
Yeah.
Like he's got to do it. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, super cool, super fun. He's doing great. Uh,
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, Kenneth, absolutely. Yeah, we're not, yeah, absolutely. It's so stemming, if you guys don't know, it is a way to express excitement, and for
Yeah.
him we're starting to see it more. I almost wonder too for him if it's a way to make sure that you're paying attention to him, because sometimes he'll go towards your face when he's doing it, other times he'll keep it down towards his own chest. But I almost wonder if it's his way to make sure that, like, you see him, he sees you, kind of thing. But we've just been noticing it more lately, um in settings, yeah, where he is excited and he's got a lot to say, and I think it helps him try to work through his words. And
Yeah.
almost sometimes, I don't know if you hear it too, but sometimes the words are coming out so fast and then his hands go faster, and then I feel like his words slow down.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe, and obviously this is
It's brand new.
it's brand new,
It's
and
super brand new for us.
this is information that as he gets older and he learns his words and ways to express his words, he'll be able to explain it to us. But for us, it feels like it's a way to help him, like, navigate excitement and navigate getting out whatever he feels like he just wants to tell us at that time or
Yeah.
whatever. So just, it's a new stim, and it's really cool to um see him do it. And also, we haven't seen or heard any sort of, like, kids making fun of him for it.
No, they
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, everybody is
So
responsive
far
to it
super
so
cool.
far. But we know, like, time will tell and whatever, but he seems to be handling it the best way he can. So,
Okay, so that was our week with him. He had a fire Mother's Day. It was his first time not picking out your flowers. I picked out your flowers.
yeah.
But he did get to spend the day with you and make sure that you had the greatest Mother's Day ever, which he was super proud of.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he made us cards in school, which were
yeah.
very, very cute. And then he had a Mother's Day thing at one of the groups that he goes and hangs out with a couple times a week, and so they did that a couple weekends ago because they didn't want to interfere with Mother's Day weekend. But we got some cards. He made you cards. He made me cards, and
Yeah, super cute.
and I mean, a lot of people, um, you know, are curious, like, how we celebrate Mother's Day, because we're both his moms, and this is something that we have created for ourselves and what works best for us. I know that you
Yeah, I get a lot of hate for this most of the time. I still talk about it. I don't care, but I get a lot of hate for the fact that and I think it's just because people think that I'm not acknowledging parents that adopt, which is not true.
Mhm.
I absolutely do. It might be something different if we were two parents that adopt, but for me, you pushed his big head out. So Mother's Day is him and I going to do something special for you.
Mhm.
And I get a lot of crap about how I don't like acknowledge it for myself. But I don't know, whatever, dude. Like, I didn't push his big head out. I wasn't the one like sitting on ice. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I didn't have stitches. I wasn't whatever. So, as far as I'm concerned, like when it's Mother's Day, he and I go out, figure out something really cool and fun that you would like, and do something cool and fun for you.
Yeah.
And for me, like, that is fulfilling. Making Mother's Day special for you is important, and that's how I roll with Mother's Day. Like, that's just me.
Yeah.
Not taking away from, two moms who adopt, or two dads who adopt, or parents who adopt, or any, I kudos,
Yeah.
but that's just kind of how I feel. I was there. I saw you push them out.
Yeah. I mean, and we do too. We do something for you, and I know that with time, with conversations that you and I have had, you know, we it is very important for you to celebrate me big on Mother's Day. And I also celebrate you on Mother's Day, maybe a little bit smaller, but something that feels good for you and feels good for me. And, and him writing cards for both of us. It's not taking away your mother role. It's not taking away a day of celebrating you. You are his mother, and it's just what works best for us. And it's something that was important for you, and also something that's important for me to celebrate you on Mother's Day. But for you, it's you guys celebrate me big on Mother's Day. He made cards for both of us. He did fun things for both of us. And that's just,
Yeah, I'll always be
you know,
I'll always be his mom, but as far as I'm concerned, for you for Mother's Day, it's a big deal. I don't know why. Don't ask me. There's probably some psychological reason why that is, but I don't know it. And I don't care. So it just is. That's how I feel about it. That's how we celebrate it. And you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but
It was a great Mother's Day
it
for
was
both
it
of
was
us. So
super
it was
fun. It's
awesome.
always super fun.
Just spending the time together.
Yeah.
We're very much that couple. We're very much that family. I don't need anything crazy. We don't need anything crazy.
I
We
mean,
just
for
spend
us,
time
I feel
together.
like I just remember when there was a time when there wasn't labels, right? Like it just the LGBT community didn't do labels. We weren't like that. We just wanted to be like everybody else, and we just wanted to live like life like everybody else and kind of get lost in the crowd, right? Like you did.
See, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in the beginning parts of labels. Everybody had to have a label. I
Okay.
had to
So we just kind of
label
didn't
myself.
want to be noticed. Like if you could just walk around with your kid, or you could just walk around with your partner, or you could just walk around with your wife or whatever, you didn't want labels. That was the thing. It wasn't you didn't I didn't need to be the dad because I'm not the birth mom. You didn't need to be, you know,
Mhm.
there wasn't labels like that. We didn't do that. It wasn't a thing. And now all of a sudden it's become labels. So it's almost like we have to figure out how to justify how we walk around the world. Like it's weird.
Everything has to have a label. And I think in a way the misconception in some things is that if you label something, then it helps you understand more of why
Yeah.
or who somebody is, or whatever. I think that when you get to this labels of confusion, I think it's starting to be a little bit harder to understand where everybody's coming from, what everybody is feeling. And but again, at the end of the day, I love this quote from I don't really, I guess we can quote him, Pierce Morgan, I
Yeah.
think who it is. um Something along the lines of how arrogant or how entitled do you feel, or how entitled you really are to believe that every single person needs to see you exactly the way that you see you. And I think that the most important people in my life understand who I am with or without labels. I am a woman. I acknowledge you as my wife. You are my wife. I have never acknowledged you as anything other than that, and the people that know us and the people that understand us and want to and are important to us, that's important. I don't need every single person in this entire world, in this entire community to get that. So this whole idea of like labeling and whatever, it's like,
Yeah, Kenneth, is it about labels or is it about acknowledgement? Maybe like society has to acknowledge accept through a label. Yeah, I'm thinking out loud too. Literally through this whole podcast, I'm about to think out loud. I I think label gives you a little bit of prestige, right? Like that's where we are right now. I mean, everybody can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like if you have a label, if you have especially a DEI label, it gives you a little bit of prestige. It lets you, I shouldn't have to lead with, hey, I'm a lesbian, so I think this. Like, all right, fine. Let's get into it. I was gonna bring this up anyway, so let's just bring it up. Because this is what got me thinking a lot this week. So, Sevon had this post right on his Instagram, and like the number one comments, like they had to be like, "Hey, I'm a lesbian, so I'm gonna say this, so you have to acknowledge this. hey, I'm a lesbian and I feel like this, and you're fear mongering and whatever. So yes, kind of social credit. So yes, like I'm a lesbian. I'm definitely guilty of it too, but I also feel like it kind of needs to end. I don't want to lead with that anymore. I don't want to lead with I'm a lesbian, so like Sevon's safe. I'm a lesbian, so my
My word is final.
right, like I'm black, so my word is final. I'm whatever, like I'm a furry, so my word is fine. Like I don't think that needs to be a thing anymore. I think the way that Sevon like shouts and says it, I think that was needed. And we've heard it from Jana. We've heard it from a bunch of people that we've talked about that are screaming in the space, and because they're screaming at us. So it's like the only way to say it back is to scream as well. And it gets lost sometimes. It gets lost on both sides when you scream.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
the
when you're screaming, nobody's listening.
right.
Nobody's actually listening. If you're just screaming nonstop, like nobody is actually listening to what the other person is trying to say, and nobody actually is trying to hear what the other person is trying
But
to
also
say.
I get the frustration of like, well, hey, I'm a lesbian, so I'm gonna say this, and you can't respond to me in any way, shape, or form because I'm a lesbian. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's how you feel a lot of these comments are,
yeah,
is
it
like,
really
yeah.
is how a lot of it is. It's like, hey, I'm a like I could do it. I kind of said it, social cred. I I'm a half black female lesbian. I I can say all this shit and then you can feel like you can't say anything back to me.
Mhm.
And no, you can say anything you want back to me. That's do you remember when okay, so anybody in like do you remember you in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, whatever, we had the like parental advisory,
Mhm.
right? Like you had the rap CDs, the tapes, whatever. Republicans started putting out parental advisories. And I heard this today and it was really, really cool. And they put those out and it was like Republicans were trying to censor what you say, right?
Mhm.
Like they didn't want you singing F this, S this, like take it like this, hose, bitches, whatever. They didn't want any of that, right?
Mhm.
And liberals were like, no, that's ridiculous. Say whatever you want to say, rap whatever you want to rap, be whoever you want to be, blah, blah, blah. Well, now it's shifted.
Mhm.
And liberals are like, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say blah, blah, blah. You have to say cis, you have to say this, you have to say that. And then Republicans are like, no, say whatever the fuck you feel like saying.
Mhm.
Say it.
Mhm.
Go say it. So now they've switched. Republicans have become the fun party and liberals have become the we're going to censor your speech party. And nobody wants that. Not anybody wants that.
No, it also feels like, what's that saying? Do as I say, not as I do,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, I can say, do, be whoever the fuck I want to, but you cannot.
Yeah.
I can say what I say. I can say what I feel. I
What did
can.
Seema say? Hold on. I bought the pride shoes not knowing they were pride shoes. Do I have to resent? No, girl. If you like anybody can like a freaking rainbow. If you like a rainbow.
Mhm.
I give up on that flag. That flag is not like to me, that doesn't mean gay pride anymore. It's something else. So if you just like the rainbow, go ahead, get the rainbow. I don't know what kind of social whatever that does to you, but have fun. Whatever. To me, it's not gay pride anymore. They changed it. It's 80 million different things. It's not what we used to do. So
Yeah, times are. I mean, what I got out of hearing him talk about it and seeing the initial post is that really what he was saying in the big picture is that times are different. Times have changed. And
we're not there anymore.
I think trying to diminish or not acknowledge that that is also true in the chaos that this world feels like right now, is that things are different and people feel differently towards that flag than they did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 or 50 like years ago. You know, you go back to what the pride movement was decades ago, and you hear from older lesbians and older gay men that talk about their battles and what they fought for and how different it is from how you grew up, how I grew
Very
up,
different.
and especially how this generation is growing up. And so I think that there is a way to understand that, yes, things change over time. I think to not acknowledge that to some people, that flag does not mean the same thing as it did years ago. I think again is that way of like, you can't say that. I can say this, I can say that, but you can't say this. I mean, that's what I got out of it. And it is true. It feels very different. I mean, we
Well,
just
the fun
started the conversation before where it was like you didn't grow up with labels. I grew up with labels. I had to
we didn't.
in my group when I was coming out, I had to label myself. I had to put a label on myself. My ex, I needed a label to be with. Like I needed that label. Not because I was ready to label myself, but because my group and the society and that I grew up in and started and came out with was like, no, you need to have a label right now.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We didn't have labels. The number one thing was don't label yourself. You just are, and you just figure it out as you go. And I think that's, we'll get into that. But the number one thing on the Sevon post, that the comment that caught me the most was the dude that was like, "Hey, but I bet you have 87,000 nano twos in your closet." So what, dude? Like, Reebok wasn't like that back then when he got all those nano twos. And even if they were, he has the right to change his mind and be like, "Hey, I see this now and it's stupid." To come at me for shit that I thought about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and try to make me feel bad about it for it, you can't. I was figuring it out too, and you know what? We're allowed to figure it out. We're allowed to go through life, change as people, grow as people, and figure it out.
Mhm.
And to bash anyone for that, and to bash anyone for figuring out who they are, who they want to be, what their values are, what they believe in as they grow as people into adult, like, what, I'm 43 years old. I'm still figuring it the fuck out. Like, leave me alone. I'll figure it out as much as I want.
Welcome to life. Life is always changing. We gotta figure it out.
I'm not mad yo, Jake, you right. I'm not mad at the Reebok 2.0s. Those were some good ass fucking shoes. I rocked
I
them.
never got those.
I
Those are
had
ones
the
I did not
original
get.
Froning ones, and now I have the Froning versions in the Born Primitive,
The Savage ones,
the
yeah.
Savage ones.
Mhm.
They're fire.
Which the Savage ones
Fire.
are great
Savage
shoes,
ones
by
are
the way. If you
fire.
have not gotten those,
Yeah, get
not
'em.
to like promote or like,
Yeah, we're not
whatever.
sponsored by them. I'm not
No,
like whatever, but
but they're awesome. I wear
they're
them
fire.
all the time.
No one's
Super
dissing
comfortable.
2.0s. Whatever the message is from Reebok, which, whatever, I don't buy Reebok anyway. I used to. I don't now, just because
Mhm.
I don't care.
Mhm.
But like, you're allowed to grow out of that shit.
Mhm.
And if you want to wear even if you grew out of it, even if you grew out of whatever Reebok's messaging is and you still want to wear the 2.0s, fucking wear the 2.0s. Whatever. If you're not buying them now, then you're not supporting them. If you have 2.0s from 10 years ago and you're still wearing them, you're not supporting them now. Like, what? Get out of my face. Like, it's so dumb. And the fact that they came at him for that, and the fact that they came at him for fear mongering is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. You're allowed to switch, like, You're allowed to switch ideas. You're allowed to switch values. You're allowed to figure things out. Even if you figure things out the other way. I'm not
Mhm.
even saying like, hey, maybe you're a conservative and now you want to go like way woke. Fine, you're allowed to do that. It's the United States of America. Go do it.
Mhm.
Cool.
Mhm.
But also too, you also can just scroll. You know what I'm saying? Like, so here, for instance, let me give you for instance. You guys are gonna love this, or you're not gonna love this. I don't know. But we're gonna do it anyway
Mhm.
because it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's real. Uh, so this is remember Eddie Winslow
Mhm.
from Family Matters.
Mhm.
This is him right now. He did an OnlyFans video with what's her name? Sydney.
Star.
Thank you. She's trans, apparently, or
Mhm.
he's trans, or however you want to say it, however you think about it, whatever. He was a he, and now he's a she. That's what she looks like. They're two consenting adults doing an OnlyFans video. I have no problem with this. Zero problem with this. They're basically both, he's like almost 50.
Mhm.
She's in her 30s. They want to do OnlyFans together. Fine. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap that she's trans. Doesn't bother me. Knock yourself out. That's your kink. Go for it. I'm not here to kink shame. Cool.
Mhm.
And like, I'll give you a little bit of the video. That's a little bit of the video. It's kink. It's whatever. Knock yourself out. Do what you do.
Mhm.
They're not talking about children. They're not involving children. They're not reading children's bedtime stories somewhere. They're not in schools anywhere. They're not promoting this anywhere in front of kids. No problem with it. Absolutely none. Do you, Sydney Star? You're gorgeous, beautiful trans lady. Get it.
Mhm.
Fine. Don't care.
Adults.
Whatever.
Adults.
The difference is this, which also I would not care if it this dude did not have, right? So trans lady, now they're together, super hot couple, fine, whatever.
Mhm.
Knock yourself out. I don't care. Two consenting adults. You met each other in high school. Now you're together. Fine. Don't care. Only difference is with him, he's teaching children. Otherwise, don't care. If he was not, if he was not in a school teaching children, I would not care, and I would probably blow past his, or not blow. Sorry, pause. I
Uh,
would go past his post and not even remotely look at them. Like I would just roll by. Bye. Like wouldn't care
Mhm.
because it has nothing to do with me. That's your bedroom. That's what I want. I want the government to get out of my bedroom. I want them to get out of my house. I want them to get out of how I raise my kid. I want them to get out. Like I want the least amount of government intrusion as I can get.
Mhm.
So any other day, if like, and honestly, even though like I'm not going to write on it like you're gross, you're whatever. I just no, I don't personally want you around my kid. I don't want my kid watching anything that you put on Instagram. I don't want my kid watching anything you put on YouTube.
Mhm.
I don't want that.
Mhm.
That's my prerogative and I should have that right. I shouldn't have to agree with you just because you say I have to agree with you.
Yeah, and also too, this whole idea that I'm not allowed to protect my kid or do what I feel is the best protection and safety for him is also something that is very hard for me to understand or wrap my head around.
Hold on. Let's go. Seema. I don't understand the teaching comment. Isn't it a right to work state? Are you saying trans people should only have certain? No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I am absolutely people can work. I'm absolutely, but well, okay, so fine. I don't know what her as the trans woman. See, here we go, semantics. The trans woman, I don't know what she does. The dude, like the blonde guy with the curls in the hair or whatever, he teaches children and he teaches them about LGBTQ stuff. Fine. If that's like if that's what you're teaching and that's whatever, I should also have the right to say I'm going to homeschool my kid or I don't want my kid to learn that stuff in school because I want to be the one to teach them that or to, you know what I mean, explain any questions that my kid might have. I also have that right. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that the trans lady doesn't have the right to work. They can work. The Eddie Winslow one, if she wants to do OnlyFans all day long, knock yourself out. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the blonde boy like being with the trans girl. They're consenting adults. Knock yourself out. I have no problem with that. For him personally, I just don't think or I just don't want my kid being taught LGBTQ anything in school.
Mhm.
And if it is being taught in school, then I will teach my kid at home. Like that's my thought process. I just don't want the government telling me how my kid should be taught, if that makes sense. Um, Seema, that seems fair. Like pulling your kid out. Yes,
Yeah,
like
because
it's my choice.
yeah, and because
It's the parent's choice.
it also feels like that what's happening is with the gender ideology is that it's sexualizing and talking about sexuality and sex education in a way to our 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year olds. Like it's not when we learned sex education, we were a little bit older around the time that like teenagers are starting to learn about that stuff and whatever. It seems like with this, it's starting younger and younger and younger, and it is in a very sexualized type of manner when it comes to teaching the ideology um,
I'm
that we've seen.
We've always said, and we've said on a couple podcasts so far, I'm fine with my kid finding out crap from kids his own age, right? Like if he's hanging out with other boys and he figures shit out and they figure shit out together and they're all 13 just boys running around figuring out the internet or figuring out whatever, I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with an adult I don't approve of teaching my kid about anything sexual, anything gender, anything like
Anything personal. It feels like that,
you know what I
it's
mean?
the blurred lines between professional and personal, and it feels like the personal thoughts, feelings, ideology, messaging is being brought into a professional place. And so what's happening is that there is no separation between the two anymore. Is that adults are taking their personal feelings because this ideology is from personal feelings and emotions when it comes to someone going through this. They're taking their personal feelings about that and they're bringing it into the professional place where these kids are not spending time learning on reading, writing, and that kind of stuff. It's that's being more of the focus versus going to school and learning academics, which is always a big question mark for us because our son qualified for summer school last year, for instance, based on his academics, and everything in school is based on academics for continued help, additional help, support, that kind of thing. However, the focus is more personal stuff. Like, I'm going to bring how I personally feel about this situation, that situation, and whatever into school. And I'm going to teach kids. And also, I'm not going to let the parents know that I'm teaching these kids this. There was another reel. I don't know if you still have it, or I think Sevan might have put it up on his too, or whatever, where um, a father found out from his son that the teacher was teaching them stuff, but not sending anything home
I saw
so
that,
that the
yeah.
parents could have an idea of what's going on. Now, I don't know about for you guys, but we get a monthly check-in of like what we're doing. It has math, science, social studies, all of these writing, all of these things of what they're doing, where they're going. We have things set home with us every single day, what he's doing. But you're not going to send that home because why? Because it's not
It's not
traditional.
appropriate.
Yeah, it's not a
And just say it.
traditional.
It's not appropriate. Like,
It's not a traditional
no.
subject in school to be teaching. And this kid was in 5th grade.
Yeah. If your sexuality is your or Jake Chapman, if your sexuality is your only selling point, I don't want you anywhere near my young kids, straight, gay, trans, whatever. Yeah, I'm over saying it. I'm over having to say or explain or whatever. I'm even over having to explain that I'm a girl to most people. Like at this point, don't give a crap. Like whatever you think I am is fine. Whatever you think that my wife and I are is fine. We're fine. I don't need to use any of those things to have conversations at all with anybody. And I coach children, and that is not something that I've ever put forward talking to kids ever, never, not once.
Yeah, I mean, because we're, this whole idea that like our son is supposed
My
to
kid doesn't
know.
even know. I don't even
Right.
put it forward to my kid. I'm not even like, hey, babe, like, love, I'm a lesbian. Your mom and I are lesbians. Never said it. Does never even come. Like, I don't know.
Because again, I say, get out of my bedroom.
Right. And
Our
also, our kids
son-
don't need to be in our
Our
bedrooms.
son is not in our bedroom and has no place in our bedroom. We are lesbians because of our sexual orientation. That is why that label defines who we are.
That's what that flag
That's
is.
what that means.
And don't let anybody tell you that that flag is not what that means. It doesn't mean peace. It doesn't, like, it has always meant this is a place for where people who like to have sex with the same genitalia are. Sevon's not wrong. That's what that flag always meant. And it was a place where we could be safe. And now it's no longer that.
I was going to say, yes, I agree with that. I also believe that it was a safety symbol,
of course it was,
for a while. And I think what's happening now is that people that once thought, me included, I thought that it was a safety. I thought it was about, I thought the flag was about community and coming together and having that support. And
it was. They even
like
took Melissa Etheridge away from us. Can't even do that. Now they equate Melissa Etheridge to queer spawn. Like, if you were born, like, if you're a kid that had queer parents or lesbian parents or gay parents or whatever the freak letter you want to use, then you have to listen to Melissa Etheridge. No, dude, we just listened to Melissa Etheridge because we liked it. Like, it just was something that we found out hanging out. If you happen to like Jeep Wranglers, you drove around in Jeep Wranglers and listened to Melissa Etheridge and the Dixie Chicks. Like, whatever. It wasn't. Now it's like, oh, if you want to be gay, if you want to be queer, if you want to be all this shit, then you gotta.
I also think it's just taking away the fun of gay culture.
It's so crap.
I think
it's just crap.
I just think the fun of it, of Melissa Etheridge and the Wranglers and the U-hauling
Subarus.
and whatever, the Subarus, like,
yo, U-hauling, fire. Yeah, that was fire. That was our thing.
I think they're just trying to take the fun out of it. It was just part of what you did, part of the culture, part of the
how you grew up. You figured it out.
Part of the community, and and I just think that it's not the same, and it doesn't feel like it's the same. And again, it's okay to say this doesn't feel good anymore.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel. It doesn't feel good at all. And this lady I love, she's Ariel Scarella on Instagram. She's been on the Jubilee podcast. She's done a lot of like good things for the lesbian, LGBT, like the original, the OGs. And that's what this post is. And basically what she's saying is like, they have the LGBT and then the QIA plus blah, 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 blah. And she wants to rip off everything else but the LGBT. Right. And so that's where this post, also the same way that Sevon's post created a hailstorm of whatever, this post has created a hailstorm of whatever. And it's because people there's the LGB doesn't know if they want to include the T now because now a lot of them are pissed because we're not recognizing the OG. And originally, LGB had to do with your sexual orientation, right? It's who you wanted to sleep with. And the T doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have to do with it. Now, there's a whole lot of nuances to that, which I'll get into, but because everybody's pissed right now at the T, they just want to get rid of it. And I also think it's unfair because not all trans people are like that. There's a lot of trans people out there that just want to live a regular life, just want to love whoever they love, have a house, have a job, do things.
Mhm.
They don't want to like go into women's bathrooms. They don't want to be in women's jail cells. They're not using this trans movement to be gross. They're just trans and they just want to be trans. I okay, fine. I can get with that. But also too, there's a faction that if it's hard because that OG status isn't around a lot. And I like if you were a girl growing up and you were gay, you were pretty much told that that wasn't okay. Or boy too. You were told that that wasn't okay. So in order to feel like you could be with the same gender, you had to be the opposite gender. That was the only way that it was okay. And so they formulated this thing in their head that if I'm the opposite gender, it'll be okay for me to go ahead and be with the gender that I want to be with. And I think big pharma figured that out at some point in a big way. And now we have all these trans kids. Uh Kenneth, what? Let me see. Can straight be included in LGBT or is hey, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, there are different if you scroll through or if you scroll through this lady, I would have to I went through this at like length, but if you scroll through her comments, there are people in there that say like yes, it's a sexual orientation, straight is a sexual orientation, so yes, yes, straight's included technically. So I would say yes because it's who you like to sleep with.
Mhm.
And that's a sexual orientation. Who do you like to sleep with? Same gender, opposite gender. Sure. Yeah. Fine. Good. Social cred. You got it. I would give it to you for sure. Um but it no, tell me what. I watched a discussion on a show once and the person was saying straight can support and recognize straight, but it can't be included. Yeah, no, nope. I would say, well, that's funny because I watched a podcast today that I would absolutely say if we're gonna be as objective as we can and not pander to the people that we're supposed to pander to, like I should probably pander to the LGBTQ. I should probably pander to whatever minority I can pander to. And if I'm gonna be honest and not pander to that, straight is a sexual orientation, and so if LGBT blah 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 is gonna like include everything, they should include S, right? Straight should get in there. I, I'm not trying to pander to
Pander
anybody.
to anybody.
Yeah, no, don't pander to anyone. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be as completely objective as I can, and yeah, straight is a sexual orientation, and sure. So LGBS, let's go. I'm good. Let's roll. There. Um, but yeah, no, that was I think that post that he put up, and then the comments that he had, like, yeah, it did pissed me off a little bit because it's like you're not listening. You want yourself to be heard and you don't want anybody else to be heard. And the fact that there are other people that have something to say, but you don't want to say it and you just want to say like he's fear mongering, he's not. That's just the way that it is.
Mhm.
So it's,
Oh, hi, Nanny.
oh, hey, Nanny, what's up?
Always
la-
love when she pops on to hang
this
out with us.
is an awesome video. I felt like she says it better than I have been trying to say it. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and I think she explains what I was trying to say before a little bit better than I actually. Ooh, that's super loud, so we're not gonna do that. All right.
Gay when I was 16, or I thought I probably was because I was in love with a girl. She used to say to me all the time, I wish you were just a boy. And then this would be fine. And then it wouldn't matter. And she said it enough times that I was like, whoa, I wish I was a boy because I love this girl so much. I love her so much. And if I
So she's 16 and she thinks that like in order to be able to be with a girl, she has to be a boy. Like that's literally what young people are going through, and big pharma is taking advantage of it. That's what I see.
Adults are.
Yeah. Oh.
or
My
a
dog,
boy,
sorry.
she would love me publicly and freely, and she could be my prom date, and I wouldn't have to go with this boy, and I wouldn't have to dance face to face with her while we're grinding on boys back to back. But no, all in my mind because I wasn't a boy. Now at 32, I know I can date the women I always dreamed of dating, and I don't have to change anything about myself.
You don't have to change anything about yourself. Like I did that too. I was definitely that one that went to prom, right? And I had like a boyfriend, but also a girl I was emotionally attached to, but couldn't be physically attached to her because I
'Cause it-
wasn't a boy
Yeah, because society or
at that time.
adults, growing up, religious teachings, however you grew up or whatever, like you weren't supposed to. That is where I say you're taking advantage of.
Who's a Swifty? What?
Oh, a Swifty.
Who's a Swifty? What? What color would straight be on a flag? Oh, that's also a good comment. I don't know. Who's a Swifty? This one is a Swifty? Is she really? I just like
I
what
don't
she
know.
said because that's really like what I thought that's how I thought when I was growing up. Is definitely what it was. But if she's all like, yay, trans people and boys can be in girl sports, then no, I don't. Oh, this Instagram lady? Oh man. Well, just take it for what she says right now.
The message is still
Then
really
like
good.
that's all I was trying to say was like what the story that she was telling right now is the story that what she was wearing. Oh, yeah. Well, all right, fine. I mean, I get it. Swifty is definitely woke as hell, and she definitely ruined Travis Kelce for me forever. But what that woman was trying to say is definitely what I've always been trying to say. Like, you don't need to be a boy to be gay. Like, just be gay. You know, like,
But how did you figure that out?
how did I figure it out?
How did you figure that out?
I don't know. We didn't have the option. Like all these kids have this options now. We didn't have that option now. I might have, but also I had a million people telling me like it's okay, no labels.
That was what I wanted you to
Oh
say.
yeah, like I
that
had
the
a million
point
people saying no labels.
you didn't have people telling you, well, we can fix that.
Yeah, no,
Well, we can change that.
nah.
Well, you must be feeling like you're in the wrong. We can fix that. We can fix that. They were
No.
what they're telling these kids is that there's something wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm not saying that if you go through therapy but therapy in a way that's not coerced, like, or misleading, or again, you doing your professional job of being there for these kids to support them and their families, to be able to understand where they're coming from. Give them the time, give them the grace, give them the patience to figure out what they're feeling. We're adults and we go through seasons all the time. We're trying to figure out life all the time. And when you have someone that's constantly telling you, no, that's wrong, it's this way, it's only this way, you can only see it that way. So, yeah, maybe growing up and seeing that society says it's supposed to be a man and a woman, we all grew up like that. That's what we grew up with. But then you had the support of people saying, baby, there's nothing, you're beautiful the way you are. You are who you are. Let's take the time and figure this out and understand together. And what's happening is that these adults are taking advantage of these young children instead of giving them time and energy and support to figure it out. And that's always my argument.
You're
I'm not saying if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But what I'm saying is that why this is my $1 million question. Why do you have to go from 0 to 100?
My thing is that they're not giving these kids a choice. Like, you're giving them an ultimatum while they're children and can't understand what the ramifications of said choices are. And it's unfair. And you're also like, some of these parents that don't understand what's happening, you're also not giving them, like, you're telling them that your kid is going to commit suicide if they don't do all of these radical body changes.
Mhm.
So ultimately, you're trying to take the parent's choice away as well, which I feel like is unfair. And you're not giving them a choice to change their minds.
These are adult choices that are being pushed on these kids.
I could change my mind. I had a certain feeling in 2019 and 2020.
Mhm.
I have changed my mind and have a different feeling now. I'm allowed to do that.
Right.
I'm allowed to grow and figure shit out.
Right.
Now, if you're an adult and want to do it and you've had all of everything exhausted and whatever, fine. I have no problem with that. Knock yourself out. I'm not against trans people. Again, for the love of God, no one's saying we're against trans people or trans people living in peace or whatever. Just saying, kids,
Mhm.
like, we're doing this to kids that don't have the ability to understand what could possibly happen to them in the long run.
Yes, Kenneth. They are bringing up questions and they're bringing up information that these kids know nothing about. They have never heard. So instead of, and my understanding, again, I'm not a therapist or anything like that. My understanding is that therapists allow the child to lead because, for instance, if a child has experienced trauma before, you're not supposed to coerce that person, that child, into admitting something that might not have happened. So what do? You follow the kid's lead. You give them spaces where they can draw or they're talking and you make notes and you repeat what they said. Oh, Johnny, I heard you say this. Is this what you said? What they're not doing that. What they're saying is, oh, Johnny said he liked the color pink, so he must be a girl. That's what's happening. They're finishing the sentences for them. They're finishing the stories for them. And then they're twisting it so much that they're creating stories that these kids would have never thought of on their own because that's not what they're saying.
So I used to love to go fishing with my grandfather, right? So like, when I was very, very young, like 4 or 5 years old, like, we would go fishing. We had waders. I don't know if you guys know what those are, but they're the boots attached to the, like, pants and you can walk in the water in them. They're great. Whatever. I used to always put on my grandfather's boots. I used to always want to wear my grandfather's waders to go fishing. I used to always want to wear his flannel shirts and whatever. He let me. It didn't mean that I wanted to be a boy. It just mean that I liked doing those things. I liked going fishing. I liked being like my grandfather, like Jake Chapman just put up. I learned how to do cryptic crosswords to impress my grandma. I guess we all do things to try to impress the people we love. Yes. Yes. I wanted to fish do I go fishing now and have waders and all those things now? No, but I did it because I wanted to go spend time with my grandparents or my grandfather, and I wanted to be just like him, and I thought he was the ultimate superhero. And I wanted to be the ultimate superhero. And so I did
grew
that.
up with boys. I am the only girl in my family. There are a ton of cousins that are boys and whatever, and we used to play sports on the street. I used to play street hockey with them and kickball with them and run around and I was in hand-me-downs from my older brothers. I never once felt like I was not a girl.
Yeah.
I never once did. And I just
Yeah, you want, and that's the thing too. Like, okay, fine. I don't know if this is true, but if it is, like, cool. I also have so many questions about boy shit, but every boy has put on their mom's heels at some point, gay, straight, whatever. We just gotta try. You kind of, as kids, and
well, Bubs will never do that because neither one
we
of us
don't
wear
have
heels.
heels,
So
but I mean, he'll put on something like, but it just, you do kind of, as a kid, you want to emulate the person you look up to. You want to, you know what I mean? Like,
kids are also
and
curious. Kids are very curious and they're curious about everything. It doesn't mean
You have to alter who they are physically.
it doesn't
Really,
it doesn't mean you have to give this in-depth explanation of what it is.
yeah.
Kids are just curious. They are.
How'd you like mommy's heels? Oh, they almost broke your ankles. Okay, you're done for today, and you're probably going to be done forever because you don't want to break your ankles because it sucks. Like, it's
Stop
whatever.
making our kids grow up so
Yeah,
fucking fast.
it doesn't have to be this giant philosophical explanation about gender ideology and all this crap. It just doesn't. It just, mommy's heels, fine. Mommy's heels. Okay.
That is the biggest thing with all of this is that they're taking away our youth. This is one part of it. You know, you see a lot of reels and stuff with these parents that are allowing their kids to do things that are not age appropriate. And I just think that the internet has forced
They're forcing us to do it.
they're forcing us to
And
do
it's like,
it.
nah.
And they're taking away youth and innocence and curiosity and all of those imagination. They're taking away all of that from our kids because the minute that a kid says something, they're jumping on and forcing them into adulthood. And I think it's very, very unfair to do that to our kids.
And again, I like the SEMA comment that was at the beginning of the show. I absolutely stand with parents and their right to raise their kids how they want to raise, and least governmental influence that can be put on your kid, I think, is the best. So if that's what you want for your kid, I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your kid. I'm going to raise my kid the way that I think is appropriate for my child. And I don't want you to be able to infringe on my rights to do that.
Mhm.
And I will not infringe on your right to raise your kid however you see fit. And I mean, if it's freaking child abuse, which I think some of this shit is, like, let everybody else's, that's not me. Just don't tell me how to raise my kid. And I think if everybody got to that, like, we wouldn't be having this discussion. There wouldn't be any social pressure. There wouldn't be any, well, I'm not an ally. Well, I don't love Black people. Well, I don't love LGBT, or I'm not in, like, all these people want to feel like they're an ally and like whatever. Like, just raise your kid with your values the way that you see fit, and don't worry about what anybody else tells you how to raise your kid. Like, that's it. And if everybody did that, I'm pretty sure there'd be way less of this crap.
Mhm.
But they're so afraid, because if you don't do it the way that they want you to do it right now, then you're going to lose your fucking kid to the state. And that's the shit that pisses me off.
That's the fear that
I don't want to tell you what to do.
no.
Just please don't tell me what to do.
Mhm.
As long as we're not, like, doing illegal shit, fine. But if the illegal shit is, I can't raise my kid appropriately, government's wrong. Sorry.
And listen, at the end of the day,
You're too involved.
as parents, we do the best that we can with the information that we have, and we trust our gut. And that's really what it comes down to. For us,
There's so many nuances. And
Yeah.
and you just want to say, because I'm not if my kid wants to transition and I'm not transitioning my kid, then I'm being abusive to my child. There you're taking a very small group of people that throw their kids out when they come out as gay, or throw their kids out when they say that they're trans, or just toss their kids to the way. You're taking a very small group of those people and you're imposing a law for those people onto us that's not what we're doing.
Give us a chance.
Like,
Give
we're
us a
not doing that.
Yeah, give us a chance. Give us a chance to ask questions. Give us a chance to understand. I mean, if you guys have been here for a while, we tell the story about when I came out to my dad and I was nervous about coming out to my dad, and he looked at me and he's like, I don't understand, but I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? And like, why can't I say that? Why can't I say, baby, I don't understand, but let's figure it out. We're still here. We're together. We're going to talk to people. And you can't say that anymore, because if you say that, then you're not
affirming whatever,
affirming
or
anybody.
doing whatever.
You're not
Yeah.
doing what now society is telling you that I have to, or telling me that I have to do. All I'm saying is give parents the time. Give parents some fucking patience. Give some grace.
My dad saw me trying my mom's heels out for a bit. He laughed. He didn't ask me if I wanted to be a woman or anything. Right. Yeah. Like, fuck it. Try it. You know what I mean? Like, it just whatever. You probably didn't play with them bitches again, because they're horrible. Like, kids are curious. Like we said before, it just is that way. And I
And
don't know. There's always nuances to this, right? Like, there's always little pockets, and there's always little, like, I can take my life experience, and I probably have done this in the past. Like, I can take my life experience as my childhood trauma and put it on everybody else, and make it, and try to make it so that everybody else has to bend to my will, so my childhood trauma doesn't ever happen again. Right? I can tell you, you can't do this, but it's still not going to fix whatever trauma that I'm holding. Me putting my childhood trauma onto the rest of the world is not going to fix what my childhood trauma was. And it doesn't mean that whatever trauma I had is going to happen to everybody else. It doesn't mean that everybody else is going to experience trauma in the same way that I did. And me trying to make the world safe for my personal immediate trauma is not helpful. Like, it's just stifling everybody else, because not everybody else is me, and not everybody else went through what I went through. And it's unfair to all those people that, like, hey, that might never happen to you. And hey, like, that would be me being like, don't ever go out past 10 o'clock. Don't ever talk to anybody that comes into your household. Don't, like, all of my fears, if I impose that on the entire, nobody would fucking do anything. Like, we'd all just be sitting at home all day.
by ourselves.
Or you'd be walking around in the buddy system program. Like, everybody's got to have 3 people with them. It's it's ridiculous, and it's unfair. I get why people want to do it, but you can't. You just have to deal with whatever it was that you went through, and deal with it the best way that you can. You can't put it on everybody else. It doesn't work that way.
And it's also, realistically and honestly, it's nobody else's responsibility to fix your trauma or to fix your experiences in life that you've had, and when you stop looking at other people in other people to fix your own shit, you realize very quickly how or you're reminded very quickly how the only person that you can control is yourself.
My view of what's safe is not everybody else's view of what's safe.
Mhm.
So, like, my idea of, like, hey, I don't want guns in my house is safe for me.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that that's safe for everybody else.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
If what's safe for you is you have guns in your house, then that's what's safe for you. Cool. I can't put whatever I've felt, whatever I've gone through in my life onto other people to make me feel safe.
Mhm.
All I can do is make me feel safe in my own life
Mhm.
and hope that nobody else imposes that shit on me. That's it.
And we do the best that we can with the tools that we have and the tools that we learn.
And I have no problem, like, no problem with anybody having guns. I have no problem with anybody. Like, I'll go shoot with you. I don't want guns in my house. I'll go out and shoot skeet. I'll go out and shoot clay. I'll go out and I'll go out. I don't want them in my house because for me, that makes me feel safe. But whatever makes you feel safe, that's what you do. And
Mhm.
I'm fine with that. And I'm here to protect whatever rights that is that keeps you feeling safe. But don't put your shit on me, and I won't put my shit on you.
Mhm.
So that was this week for me.
Mhm.
I feel like we masters athlete, bingo, my language, yep. Thank you. Jeffrey number 1. I often wondered what constitutes abuse in the public eye. Not legally, what people perceive. If I spank my child, but you don't spank yours, does that make me abusive? Good call. I think that's what I just spoke to. I I mean, as long as your kid's not coming around with black eyes and whatever. Like, I got spanked as a kid. Did you? I got spanked.
No, I also grew up very differently. There was no discipline. There was no I think I remember getting grounded once. Like, and it was grounded was me going to sleep. Like, I didn't have the same rules and I didn't have the same regulations and stuff like that. Like, I just didn't. You know what I mean? And again, as an adult, you look back and my mother was a single mother. My father wasn't in the house and she had to do what she had to do. So she did the best that she could. So again, I grew up much faster than I should have, needed to, wanted to, but I had to grow up much faster because of the environment that I was around, and I had older cousins and I had older friends and, so I didn't really have that type of structure. I didn't have that type of boundaries and discipline and stuff like that. And I have learned, you know, getting as I get older, being married, being a parent, where I see the value and I see the importance of boundaries and consequences and, that kind of stuff. So I didn't have it growing up, but I've learned the tools, kind of like what we were talking about when like how do you work on your own shit and what, changing your mind and how you can see the world differently. And I always say that I'm pretty sure that when you become a parent, you really, really see the world differently.
Yeah,
I
for
feel
sure.
like I see the world much, much different since becoming a mother. And then I also see it differently from being a confident mother,
Yeah.
because I wasn't a confident mother when we first had him. And I had to look in the mirror and I had to do my own shit and I had to do my own work to grow into being a confident woman, a confident wife, and a confident mother. And so now I really see the world differently. And I also see the value of communication and conversation and trying to understand. And that's why I always say, like, I just want to ask questions, and we're not allowed to ask questions in multiple areas. And that's fine. But when you ask me or question what I'm doing, I also can just say I'm doing what I feel like is best for my kid.
I would ask Miss Masters athlete. I was a cashier in Texas watching a father beat his child. It tore me, yet I couldn't do anything. How it's not right.
It's not right.
You
No.
shouldn't beat your kid. I'm not saying
No,
that.
and
I
I
got
think
spanked.
I think there's a difference, and
There's very much a difference.
I forget who said it, but someone explained it in a way that was like abuse is unnecessary force over time. I forget who said it. Like, that's different than getting a spanking.
Yeah. I like
You know?
like I got spanked. I've never spanked my kid.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I definitely wouldn't say that the spankings that I got were abuse. I don't think that they were.
I mean, you hear stories that some people said like
There was never a switch. There was never I got a spanking. It kind of was an 80s spanking. It wasn't like a, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know however else you want to call it, but it was just,
But
you know,
that's the thing. You also hear,
But-
people that, share their stories and they're like, yeah, I got, whipped or with a switch or a spoon or a belt or whatever. And I'm grateful for that because what it taught them. And it wasn't all the time, but it was like that discipline and whatever. And that also goes to the whole thing about like two people can be in the same room watching the same thing and they're not having the same experience. And stop taking away people's experiences and people's feelings about different things or about the same thing, you know?
yeah, you don't, I don't know. I think it goes back to what I was trying to say before, which is just like, can you, I know that that sucks. And I know that like some households do use whatever it is that they use, but how much do you want the government in your household?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
And also please don't
it's
don't put your
I would not
household on my household.
I would never hit my kid with anything.
No, never.
Uh I
Never.
I didn't spank them, but if another household feels the need to spank, then fine.
Mhm.
Hitting them with something other than that, then maybe I probably would call somebody and be like, "Hey, you need to check that out." And then if I it's
Not for
there's
us.
so many nuances. It wouldn't be me,
No.
but I
No.
mean, how like where are we going there? When it comes to children, just I would love to have. I don't even. I'm still working it out. This is what it is. We're talking it out. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to like have conversations about it. So Kenneth asked me about did I see Kill Taylor? Yeah, I absolutely saw Kill Taylor today. That was freaking fire. I think it was Kenneth.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colton coming on
Was
and
hilarious, by the way.
greatest thing I ever saw.
It was great.
Like I can't get enough of the Kill Taylor show.
It was great.
It was so good.
So good. So good.
I forget. I want to clip all of the one-liners that came out of that. Like it was.
But do you also see how quiet Taylor was?
Dude,
Taylor was so
he perked up
quiet.
after the last guy though. When the last guy went, he was like, "I can beat you and Colton," and then he like shit the bed. Then Taylor was like, "I'm fine with Colton beating me. Fuck you, Stu," or whatever his name was. Like that was fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
But Taylor was very, very quiet when Colton was on. We were like, oh, that one hurt a little bit.
Well, it was. I don't think Colton hurt him. I think if like somebody else again would have hurt him like that. But are we going to give him video game lives? He was talking about that. Like if he, like he lost 2 lives because he lost twice. So now if he wins next week, does he get a life back? Kind of like Jumanji.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
that
I
would
guess we'll
be
have to
cool.
see.
Poor Stu. Yeah, poor Stu.
Guess we'll have to wait and
Stu
see.
was Stu high? Anybody? Was Stu high? Stu fell high.
I didn't see Stu. Once Colton beat him,
somebody told him to tie his shoes, and then he untied the shoe that was tied, and I was like, "Yeah, he's probably high."
Oh, jeez.
But he was a happy dude. Like I'm not mad at it. He was a happy guy. Like whatever. But Miss Masters, I get it. It's a lot. It's so much to unpack, which is why we got to talk about it forever.
It really
and ever
is,
and ever.
and I think that is something that brings power.
Yeah, it's just talking about it.
Being able to talk about it, and I think that is where the conflict continues. Is that people aren't talking about it. You can't, like I said, you can't ask questions to try to understand. And you may never understand.
You might not.
You may never understand. And that's also okay. But you're not giving me the opportunity to understand. As if you are an adult and you make adult decisions, I am all for that. You are an adult. What I'm asking you to do as an adult is to not put your feelings and your beliefs onto somebody else's child. That's what I'm asking you to do. It is up to those parents. And then you get the backlash. Well, not everyone has great parents. You're right. You're right.
Not everybody
Not
does.
everybody has great parents. Also, not everybody has bad parents either. And by only fixating on the extremes of bad and neglect and all of these things and terrible parents, what you're doing is you're eliminating you're grouping us all into the same category. I am not that bad mom that's not there for whatever reason. And there's no judgment, but she's not there.
Yeah.
But you're putting me into the same category and you're fighting so hard for those families and those kids that don't have parents. What you're doing is you're taking away the rights of us as good parents. Please stop. As an adult, worry about you. And if you're concerned that a child doesn't have the support that they need, please, as a professional, do your professional job. Do your professional job. Do not put your personal feelings and beliefs
Where's Judy right now?
onto somebody else's child. Give that child an opportunity to figure it out in the safest place that you can provide, which is not your personal beliefs. They are not in your personal house. They are in your professional place of business. Stop. You are the adult in this situation, so act like one. I'm done.
Where's Judy right now?
Where's Judy? Where's my girl?
Judy? Where is Judy?
Where's
All
my
right, let's
girl?
go.
Where's my girl?
Jeffrey Birchfield, he was happy. Yeah, Stu was super happy. I wish I was that happy. I do too. That brother was happy. Kenneth Delap, I applaud anyone willing to do a workout live in front of an audience.
Well, especially that audience.
Bro, true story. I barely got through half of my open workouts, and it was my friends surrounding me. It wasn't even like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Sevon's audience. And that girl that was in was the first one that worked out, and his girlfriend or coach or she was like, I'm not getting on screen. I do not want to get ate up by
Yeah,
like
Yep.
that. She was fire though.
for
She
sure.
was awesome.
For sure.
Miss Masters athlete Kenneth, I'm too shy and my aerobic capacity isn't enough. Oh, girl, do it anyway. So what?
That would be fun. You
Going
should
on
do
the
it.
Sevon show is fire.
They just talk
um,
shit. That's all they do.
Yeah, and it's mostly funny and it's great. And even like Sevon said, they're very good to the ladies. They're very good to ladies.
Mhm.
And Kenneth, to end it, that girl didn't want to get roasted. No, she did not want to get roasted,
She did
bro.
not.
She was cool though. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was a
Yeah.
good time.
She ended up getting in the screen at one point. I think she was moving
Yeah,
the camera or
She
something.
was cool.
But she was like, "Oh shit!" and she kind of ducked down.
All of
or
a sudden,
whatever.
she got good to talk, so
Yep.
it was fire.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate all of you as always. Kenneth, Miss Masters, Jeffrey, number one, love you guys. Thank you for always hanging out. We appreciate
Seema, thanks
you.
for asking
Yeah,
the
Seema.
question. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for real, that was
Yep.
awesome. Fire,
Adios, Crowbar. Peace out. I think that
dude.
was-
but-
Jake was in here at one point.
oh yeah, Jake Chapman. I'll see you on the 27th, bro, for chat appreciation.
Y'all can have fun with that.
I got that. Hog talk. All right,
Not my thing. Bye, guys.
thanks, guys.